Hi, welcome to the Bulletin Redesign Quick Look. My name is Sarah Astrobati, and I wanted to share with you some of the reasons why we decided to redesign the Bulletin module. The Bulletin module is a core feature of ClubRunner. It's in the top three, one of the three being Bulletin, website, and membership management. But the predominant feedback that we received is that it's hard to use. So it did have a high learning curve, and a lot of times bulletin editors they tend to rotate, so they have less tolerance for learning a new system because they're only going to be doing it for a short period of time. So what we did is we conducted a survey, and if you haven't done the survey yet, you can still do the survey. It's in the link is in the left menu of your bulletin module. But thank you to everyone who has given us some very, very valuable feedback. We also did a lot of one-on-one interviews. So we learned a lot of interesting things from that survey. We knew what was good and what was working well, but the big message that we did learn is that it had too high of a learning curve. So 73% of the users felt like they still haven't fully learned the system, which is actually a really bad number. We also found that 76% preferred version 2. So version 2 is the previous version. It was a lot simpler. So although it had a lot less functionality, people actually preferred it because again, it was simpler to use. So that was one of the reasons why we felt we had to kind of go back and examine the usability. 43% only use custom widgets, and these are sort of like the easy way to add content to the bulletin. Archiving was the #1 request during the version 2 days. But although we incorporated and added in version 3, it wasn't being used as often as we thought it would. And I think it's because we didn't do a good job of explaining what it is and why you would need archiving or why you would want archiving. So the top 5 complaints is that unfortunately it's too complicated. It had a lot of features, but people were really struggling to figure out how it should work. It was highly customizable, but it was overkill for the typical user. Preview came up a lot. It was not a true indication of the final result. Story management was confusing. It was kind of being used for sharing content, but people were using it instead of custom content. And most of all, it was a lack of intuitive navigation. So people really felt they did not know where to start and where to go next, and they end up at a dead end or they have to retrace their steps. So that was something that we really took a good long look at. So our redesign criteria was that it had to be truly WYSIWYG. You had to see what you were working with instead of going back and forth between design and preview. We introduced templates to help you get there so you're not starting from scratch. We introduced a new widget called pre-formatted widgets, and I'm going to be showing that later on during the demo. And we're going to be encouraging custom content versus the unnecessary use of stories. And we've really put a lot of work into navigation. We introduced a step-by-step wizard, only 4 steps, but at least there's a clear creation process from start to finish. And we kind of, one of our overall direction with ClubRunner is to make it a more visual interface so people relate better to thumbnails instead of a list. So instead of seeing a list of your bulletins, you would see thumbnails of your bulletins because that's how you would quickly identify a bulletin. So we've already opened up Sandbox Access for people who attended our focus group webinar a couple of days ago. If you're interested in trying it out as early as possible, you can sign up for a private beta. It's available May 12th. And if you're interested, send an email to admin@clubrunner.ca. But otherwise, we're going to be doing a general beta release on June the 9th. So without any further ado, let's take a quick look at the demonstration of this new bulletin module. I hope you really, really like it. We've all put a lot of work into it, and we're still working on it. So please send us your feedback, impressions, commentary. We would really, really appreciate it, and thank you. This is the landing page for the new bulletin module, and we've introduced the concept of bulletin thumbnails. So in addition to the list view, you can now look at your bulletins in terms of the way they look, and people are very visual that way, and especially with bulletins, you can instantly find the bulletin that you're looking for. So what I'm going to be doing is opening the View Bulletins page. So this is the same, and if you notice in the top right, there is a toggle between list view and card view. And if I switch to the list view, it's the same familiar interface, which is the bulletin list that you are familiar with now. What we've done is we've added a different view on it, and this is what I mean by everything coexisting. So if I go back to the card view, I now am seeing my bulletins in the way that they will appear, and these are actual accurate thumbnails of those bulletins. One of the new things that we did introduce is templates. So a lot of people, especially bulletin designers that are looking to get other people in the club involved is they want to be able to create a template and then save it as a template, and then they can tell other club members to go in and create a bulletin using that template. So this is where I can see in this demo that I've created 2 bulletin templates in there so that I can actually use it later on. And saving a template is really easy. You just kind of go to an existing bulletin and you say save as. So I think what we should do is let's try this step-by-step wizard for creating a new bulletin. And what we're going to be doing is in the getting started landing page, I'm going to click this big create a bulletin link. Now it's going to start the wizard, and the wizard is a 4-step process, and this will guide new users through the creation of this bulletin. So it will take you through the whole process from start to finish, and you don't have to, hopefully this will kind of be intuitive enough that you're not having to be trained on how to use this, and you can sort of figure it out as you go along. So the first step is, in order to create your bulletin, before we used to ask you for your name, what's the name of the bulletin, who's the editor, what's the date, what layout do you want? And we've sort of put that aside in favor of starting with, really people just want to get in and start designing. And what we've done here is offered templates. So there are 3 different templates that you can start your new bulletin from. You have your own templates, which is the 2 that I showed you earlier. But we've also introduced system templates, and these are templates that we provide that allow you to get some inspiration and use them as starting points. And one of the key things that we've done is these new templates are in following the Rotary International Visual Brand Identity Guidelines in terms of the colors and the way they look and the images and all that. However, you can definitely customize them. So these are just starting points, like I said, and you can still go in and do further changes. Now, if you're sort of really sure what it is you're looking for, you can also start off with a blank template. And these are very neutral, clean layouts so that you can really focus on, do I want single column and 2 column, or what style do I want my bulletin to look? So for the purpose of this demo, let's go with picking a template, because that sort of gets us from starting the quickest way. And I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to be doing a membership campaign, and I've just uploaded 200 emails that members have submitted for consideration in membership. I'm going to select the template that I like, and then I'm going to click next. What that's going to be doing is it's going to create a new bulletin for me based on a copy of this template. And you'll notice by looking at some of the templates that Bulletin is not just for weekly newsletters. So it's something that we're hoping people will consider using for other reasons as well. So this is sort of very different from the interface that you're used to. This is the new designer, and you'll notice there is a toolbox. This is kind of similar to what we had before on the left, and now it's a toolbox that kind of switches seamlessly between content, themes, layouts, properties, and text. So I'm going to sort of start off with the content first. Now you'll notice that it looks like a bulletin, but if I hover over each widget, it will highlight and look like an editable widget. So let's say that I want to make a change to that first paragraph. So I can actually start clicking and make changes right here. Click here inside my widget and start typing your content. And you'll notice a toolbox area above the text, so I can still go in and use a lot of the same functionality that I've always been doing before, except now you're actually able to do it while you're actually seeing what the end result will look like. So if I wanted to change this, I can change it to a brighter blue, and so on. So, and these are still drag and droppable. So because this is a template, I already have these widgets, but if I wanted to put this on top, I can move them around, and I can move this back up as well. But you'll notice that in the widget picker, all these are familiar. Under Essentials, you still have news, bulletin pages, stories, presidents, birthdays, and anniversaries. These are all the exact same widgets that you've been using before.
However, we've introduced one new category of widget, and that is the pre-formatted widget. And this is like a custom widget. It's not pulling data in from somewhere else. It's just content. And this has sort of been the biggest hurdle for people who really just want to get some content into this bulletin and send it. They're not really interested in pulling a content that's shared from the website or any sort of interrelated information. They just want to stick a text document in there. So for example, I would like to have a layout of 3 images across, and we sort of want to show you how easy it is, because we don't want to, people hate dealing with image resizing and layout and drawing tables and putting all of these together. So there is a triple image widget. I'm going to put it in right between those 2 widgets, and as soon as I drop it, it's now drawn a little table of 3 widgets. Now, all I have to do is click on each of the images and pick one of those images in my image library. And I'm not sure if you know this, but there is a Rotary Images folder in the image library. So we've added a lot of bulletin banners here, but we also have images ready to go in the Rotary Brand Center. So I just double click and find the image. It resizes the image to fit. If it's too big, it'll shrink it down. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my 3 images, and I'm going to start. And notice the text just flows. I can, type a longer caption. Or you can leave the caption blank. You can always, when you're using these pre-formatted widgets, you can always just leave it blank. But I hope you get the idea that it's just basically text, and then you can still bold it. You can still change the color. So I'm going to make this blue, and so on. So, and these pre-formatted widgets work just like the other widgets, so I can still rearrange it below another one. We did also introduce a new widget called a button. So this is really good if you have a big call to action. So when you're sending a campaign for prospective members, you want to have a big call to action button to say, come to an event or sign up or learn more. And again, with this button, we just put in the text, learn more about membership. Make them go to ClubRunner. And that's pretty much it. So with these widgets, it's really, really straightforward to change, and you get to see your changes on the screen right away. This is a fairly accurate preview of what the end result is going to be. However, you can still use some of the other widgets that you already have and are used to. Now, before in the old designer, just because we picked a template doesn't mean that you can't change the theme. We introduced 2 new themes, actually the same one, Minimalist and Minimalist Compact. They're both the same, except Compact allows you to put a little more information on there. This is not Compact. The modern look right now is very large fonts and lots of white space, so this is kind of the new look. But for those of you that are using it for a bulletin to going to your members, you may want the compact version. And we've introduced some new colors. So if I want to sort of use the sky blue, these are Rotary brand colors, by the way. So they're the correct blues, so to speak, and that Rotary has recommended. And there's a combination of different styles. This is sort of a dark blue. It may not work with this image so much, but if I wanted to change the image, I just pick it, and I'm going to go to Bulletin Banners, and I'm going to pick this image. There we go. All right. Oh, I need a headline, so I think I need a logo. So I'm going to put a cute little logo in here. Small. There we go. That's not to say it's the best looking bulletin ever, but hopefully you get the idea. So I'm also going to show you some of the new layouts that we've introduced. The ones that have the star in the top left, they are unique because they don't have a banner. And the banner was a bit of a complex structure, mostly because we didn't have templates, but having to go somewhere to define your banner and then come back to the bulletin was a bit of a hurdle for people. So by going with a a layout that doesn't have a banner, you still have the banner, but now, if hopefully you can see the area called top, it's just a normal content area that you can drop a widget in. So let's see, for example, this banner, I would want it to go into my area, so now it goes above it. And it's now located outside. Or let me use a smaller one here. I think it's small enough. So that sort of, you can feel free to move things around. So with the bannerless ones, so instead of banner, it's called header, and that helps you distinguish between the two. Now for properties, these are the same properties that are in the classic designer. Nothing much has changed. It just basically lets you save all the changes that you have. And the text-only version, which we admit is not very used very often, but what we've done is we did default the text so that at least if people have email clients that cannot read HTML, they'll be able to click on a link to view the website version of your bulletin. So it's kind of friendly for a lot of people who still have text-only versions, which happens more often than not because a lot of companies like banks don't allow HTML emails. So it tends to happen. So if you want to improve readability, this will really help. Okay, well, let's just say we've, actually, I'm going to take this logo out. Let's just say we're happy with this bulletin and we think we want to sort of see a more accurate preview. This is where we click next at the top right. So now we've moved from step 2 of the wizard. Now we're going to step 3, which is the preview. And of course, you can always save and exit, so you don't have to finish the wizard all in one step. Now in the preview, this is a more accurate preview because it's sort of, there might be a lot of extra space in the normal preview because we're trying to accommodate widgets being dropped and added. This will give you the exact copy of what's going to be sent to your recipients. So this gives you a chance to look at it, and if you're happy with it, then there's not much to do in this step. The only thing you can do is send a test to yourself, which is a good idea just in case you want to see what this looks like on another email client. However, I'm going to click next. And this is very, very similar. Not much has changed. I'm going to pick a recipient list, and I'm going to pick myself and specify an email subject. And it's going to ask me if I want to archive. I'm just going to say no in case I need to go back to that bulletin later. Although it's a good idea to archive. And just to put it briefly, archiving freezes your bulletin because if you have a bulletin that's using stories or content coming from somewhere else, and that content changes, it's going to affect your bulletin. So if you really want to preserve what that bulletin looked like, archiving is a good way to do that. And you can always copy an archive bulletin if you ever want to resend it or start something off based on that. And then you hit send. So it's going to ask me, am I sure I want to send? I say yes, and we're done. So there's a nice big confirmation. I can go back to the bulletin home, or I can create another bulletin, or I can see the delivery stats. Now this isn't new, we've always had that, although it tends to be a hidden feature, but you can actually look at the statistics for that bulletin, and you can actually do that for emails as well in ClubRunner. But that lets you see all, out of all the bulletins that you've sent, how many were opened, how many were successfully delivered, and if you had any errors or undeliverable email addresses. It's really good to kind of help you troubleshoot if somebody tells you they didn't get an email. It could be that their email is wrong or it got blocked. So it's a good starting point. Now, if you want to see that right now, today in your bulletin, it's under the send history. So if you look at the send history in your bulletin module, there's a little link called stats. And you can you can actually look at it and see the statistics for the most recent bulletins that you've done. So if I go back to the landing page, we've actually also we've introduced settings, bulletin settings. Now, a lot of those options that I specified earlier, like we're trying to remember as much of your preferences as possible so that if you're always picking a template from My Templates, you don't have to keep clicking on that tab. So for example, your default template tab is My Templates. If I were to pick My Templates, I won't go to sample templates anymore. But you can also choose, would you prefer the thumbnails or would you prefer the list? If you still like the list, just pick list and it will stay that way. Even your default send options and so on. So hopefully, you'll notice that when we created the bulletin, we didn't ask, what's the name? What's the date. Do you want this to be visible on website? Is it access public? Or, we're trying to people really just want to get started and they don't want to be kind of forced to make these decisions early in the process. You can always go in there and change these in the properties, but at least it gets you started right away. And I think that kind of covers it in a nutshell. I've obviously gone through it, in a fairly high level way, but I hope this kind of conveys the direction that we're going to be taking with the redesign. And I hope it feels intuitive. And I think one of the things that we'd like to do is with the sandbox access that we give you is, go in and try to use it and see if it feels intuitive. But actually, I'm sure most of you are already using the bulletin modules, so it may actually be very helpful to borrow a member of the club and say, hey, can I try something for 15 minutes on you? Imagine, can I ask you to do a bulletin and see what they do? Well, can they figure it out? And hopefully the goal is that somebody can go in and with a bit of effort figure it out in 10-15 minutes. So we'll be concluding the demo part. I'm going to go back to the presentation and talking about the sandbox access. You will get an email shortly with a unique login. We're going to be setting these up in the next few days. And it's all on a sandbox. It's on a separate account. So you're going to be accessing a site along with other people. So it has nothing to do with your site. It won't impact it. But at the same time, you won't be able to email it to your members. Unless when you're finally on the beta, whether it's the private beta on May 12th or the general beta on June 9th. So you'll all get emails. Divya will be emailing everybody out shortly. We also have the beta group on LinkedIn. This is the same group. Some of you may already be on that group. But if you're not and you wanted to sort of discuss some of these features as a group, so you can send us feedback directly, but you can also start a discussion on the LinkedIn group. And that's really a nice way to sort of get other people involved. Then please join our ClubRunner beta and early access participants group. The link will be in the email as well, or you can search by that name, which is nice and long. But it's a great way to kind of get a discussion going. And also, we hope if you're going to Seoul for the RI convention, please come see us. We have a team that's going to be there, booth 2926 and 2928. We're going to have demonstrations, demos, workshops, everything. And we're going to be showcasing a lot of the other features that we have. We may have a webinar shortly about the contacts module, which dovetails perfectly with Bulletin. Because now you're going to have this Bulletin that you can use, not just for members, but to do campaigns, prospective member campaigns and PR campaigns. And you need a contacts module that lets you keep a contacts list so that you can send emails to all these people. So to wrap up, we're going to conclude the formal part of the webinar. For those of you that are pressed for time, I know it's almost 35 minutes. So we're hoping to we're going to spend a few more minutes answering some of the questions that people have asked over and over. Although some of the harder ones we may need to answer offline. We're going to send a transcript of all the questions that we've received so that you will at least know what everybody else has asked and with an answer in case we don't address your question right now. But I just want to say thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming to this webinar at 7 o'clock on an evening. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. And I hope you will be able to go in and check out the Sandbox site and play around with it. It may not be, there may be some issues where it's not a fully finished, but it's working, and give it a try and see how it is. See if it's easy, and tell us what your feedback is. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much. We definitely do appreciate it.
So we'll go through some questions now.
Okay.
Are you planning to make the bulletin suitable for printing?
So the question that we have is, are you planning to make the bulletin suitable for printing? That is a very common question. What we're going to be doing is releasing a theme that is very black and white and can print on 8.5 by 11. So for those clubs that are interested in doing that, I mean, you can still print the bulletin now, but with the colors, and the browser may not necessarily render
it properly.
Yeah. So we're going to be releasing a monochromatic, printer-friendly version of the bulletin theme. And what you can do is use that theme to print. So you can use your normal theme to to email everybody and then switch to the printer-friendly theme to print your bulletin. So that's in the works. Not right now, but it'll be coming soon.
David asks, can districts be part of the beta, the private beta? Can districts be?
So the question is, can districts be part of the private beta? Yes, they can. So same procedure, it's the same module. This will be released for both clubs, districts, and zones.
Okay, can we share the email address that they can email us at to sign up for the private beta again?
Yes, it's, I'm going to go way back. So to do the private beta, please email us at admin@clubrunner.co.
Stephen had a very nice suggestion. This is not a question, but a suggestion. It'd be great to be able to share templates with other clubs.
Oh, we knew that. Okay, so Stephen had a suggestion to say it would be great to share templates with other clubs.
And that's what we
It's
were
funny
saying.
because when we did a few tests, a couple of people were like, well, you know what? If I had a really great template, I would want to share it. So I'm not sure if it'll be something that we're going to have from the very beginning, but I can see with all these templates being used is there could be kind of a template community so that people can submit templates and share templates. So it's possible. Yeah, we just have to see how popular the templates are.
Can I produce a table showing individual duties from the duty roster? So
Yes.
I believe there's a
I believe you
commitment
can.
section,
There
right?
is a commitment section. If we already have the widget, then you can. So all of the widgets that we already had before, they will still work. Now on this demo site, I don't think we have a duty roster defined, but I'm just going to check if we have a meeting responsibilities widget.
Now I think if the
Oh, we
there
do.
it is.
Bulletin meeting responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
So if it's defined in the roster, we'll just add that in.
Yeah, so you just have to go in and make sure you assign all the roles and assign all the members, then you'll be able to drop that widget in.
If we archive a bulletin and delete the photos from our library, will they remain in the bulletin?
For the photos, no, but we're gonna copy the bulletin so that we preserve the photos. So I would say if you're planning on using photos, if they're unique to the bulletin, hang on to them, but that's a common feature and people would really like to, they're really worried about deleting photos from the image library, so we're going to actually create a separate copy coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
Very good question.
Will the bulletin pull stories from the homepage and speakers?
So the question is, will the bulletin pull stories from the homepage and speakers? Yes, that is the same behavior that it does right now. What you need to do is, if I show you the stories widget, what you do is, let's just say you have 5 stories already. I'm going to drop the Bulletin Stories widget. So stories are actually, I don't mean to imply that you don't need stories. It's really good if you have content already on the website. Let's just say the website administrator created 5 new stories. So what I've done is I've dropped the Bulletin Stories widget, I click on that link, and now it's going to ask me, right now there's no stories attached to that particular bulletin, but I'm going to add stories from Story Library, and these are all the stories that exist. So I'm going to pick 2 stories that the website administrator has added, and click Done. And now if I scroll down, the stories are here. Done. So you've now been able to import content from your website.
How many bulletins can be live at one point?
So there's a limit of 12 live bulletins. That does not include templates. So you can have, I think we're gonna it's 12 templates. Well, it's gonna be, the limit doesn't include templates. It's live 12, but that doesn't include archives. So this is really 12 bulletins that you're working on simultaneously. But once you send them and you archive them, they do not count in that limit. And we did a survey because we wanted to know how many active bulletins people had. And most, I would say about 90% had between 1 and 3, which is a lot lower than I thought, to be honest. I guess I'm the type that has a lot of active bulletins going, but hopefully that shouldn't be a problem.
Do bulletins count towards email limits?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. Has text wrapping around photos been enhanced?
Has
Text wrapping been enhanced around
Okay,
photos and text?
I'm not sure. So the question is, sorry, you may not be able to hear Divya's voice. So the first question she asked is, does Bulletin count in email limits? Then the answer was yes. The next question is, has text wrapping around photos been enhanced? I'm not sure exactly what the issue was. However, we do have a predefined widget that is, so basically predefined widgets are really safe widgets to use. And if you're trying to create a text and image combo, then try the article widget. So this one here is my article title goes here. And I'm going to type in a text caption. Actually, I'm going to copy and paste this. And this is kind of gives you a similar look and feel to the photo and wraparound. And of course, you don't have to use every element of these predefined widgets. So if I don't need the button, I delete everything. It's going to tell you empty. And this is why I mean, this is not necessarily 100% accurate because we have to give you the ability to go in and define the bulletin. But when you preview it, that button will disappear. So we're going to be adding a lot of these pre-formatted widgets, which should eliminate all the headaches, which I think is why that person was asking about stories and wrapping. So you want to basically be able to use pre-formatted widgets as much as possible, and you don't have to worry about columns and widths and wrapping and padding and margins and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Susanna asks, can I upload photos from my Google Plus?
No,
I think
you have to, yeah, because our system and Google don't talk. Google's in one area and we're on another area, so you have to download the images from Google and then upload them to ClubRunner, unfortunately. But that's sort of something I'm sure you have to do everywhere, unless if thousands of our customers are on Google, I'm sure Google has some API. You know what? The quick answer is right now, no, you can't, unfortunately. Sorry about that.
So David asks, can you overlay images over banners, such as a Rotary logo or a call to action?
You can, although, to be honest, a lot of the limitations that we've put are because email clients do not support that sort of thing. And that was the reason why we created the banner system in the first place, is because when you supply a background image and a logo and text, we actually flatten all of this out and take a picture. If you send a background image to Outlook, it will not work. So a lot of the things you'll notice in Bulletin, you can do a lot less than you can do on the website. Sometimes people tell us, how come I can't embed a video? Why am I not able to put an animated carousel in a Bulletin, believe it or not? And it's not because we can't put it, it's because it will not actually display. So we prevent it from being added so that people don't wonder why it's not showing. Email clients are a lot more limited than web browsers.
Mm-hmm. When will this go live?
So the question is, when will this go live? The general full release is going to be June the 9th. It's going to be beta, but it's going to be functioning beta, which means but it'll be announced to everyone. It won't be private anymore. Everyone will log in and be able to see it and use it.
Okay. When will you be releasing the image editor? Are we going to be releasing an image editor?
There is actually, that's an interesting question, because CK Editor is releasing a way to edit images. Right now it's only available for PHP, although we're waiting for the ASP version. So it's a third-party tool, like the editor that we use in there. It's the leading text editor, HTML editor on the market, which is what we're using. And yeah, they do have a really nifty tool coming out that will let you not just upload an image, but you can crop it and change it a little bit. Unfortunately, we're just waiting right now for it to be available on our platform.
That's good.
Okay, so I think there's a few more, but maybe they're a little more detailed. So if we haven't answered your question, don't worry, we're going to answer all of them and put them in the transcript and send them to everybody. But I hope this kind of gives you a good foundation, and hopefully this will encourage you to go in and play around with the sandbox yourself. And so thank you again. And thank you for the feedback over all the years. We actually do listen. I know you get a canned response saying we forwarded it to our development team. They actually do get forwarded, and Divya compiles them, and we read them, and we catalog them, and we shuffle them. Like, it's, we actually do listen. So again, we hope we're going. This is a step in the right direction. But if it isn't, or if it could be perfected, let us know. And yeah, let us know what you think. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.